The moment I brought home the two boxed cafe house model kits, I felt like a child again, excited, curious, and eager to see how all the pieces would come together. Each box was neatly packaged, filled with tiny wooden planks, miniature furniture, delicate paper cutouts, and tiny LED lights, all waiting to be transformed into a charming little world. I decided I would assemble both models side by side, creating a unique, beautiful set of handcrafted cafe houses that could sit together like neighboring shops in a quaint, bustling street. I began by carefully opening each box, making sure not to lose any of the small pieces. The instruction manuals were printed in vivid color, with step-by-step diagrams showing how each wall, window, and door should be placed. I laid out all the parts on the table, organizing them into groups: walls, flooring, roofs, furniture, and decorative items. This small act of preparation made the process feel even more professional, almost like I was a miniature architect ready to build my dream cafes. The first step was constructing the base for each house. Using the provided wooden panels, I glued them together with precision, ensuring the floors were flat and the corners aligned perfectly. It was a slow process, as the glue needed a few minutes to set before I could move on. While waiting, I imagined the final look: two cozy coffee shops, each with its own personality, connected by the warmth of a shared street. Once the bases were ready, I began assembling the walls. The first model had a rustic charm, with wooden textured panels painted in a warm cream and brown. The second had a more modern design, featuring smooth pastel-colored walls and wide glass windows. As I glued each wall into place, I could see the personality of each cafe starting to emerge. The rustic cafe seemed perfect for serving traditional coffee and pastries, while the modern one could be a trendy spot for lattes and desserts. The next part was my favorite, adding the windows and doors. Each came with tiny frames and clear plastic panes that imitated real glass. Installing them was delicate work. I had to hold each piece gently with tweezers to avoid smudges or damage. I loved how the light began to flow through the windows, hinting at the cozy atmosphere these cafes would soon have. I imagined small silhouettes of customers sitting inside, enjoying their drinks. After the main structure was complete, I moved on to the roofs. The rustic cafe had a slanted roof with textured tiles, while the modern one featured a flat rooftop with space for a small garden. It took patience to align each roof tile, but the result was worth it. The houses now looked complete from the outside. Still, the real magic would happen inside. The interior decoration was the most time-consuming part, but also the most satisfying. The rustic cafe came with miniature wooden tables, chairs, and shelves, along with tiny coffee cups, teapots, and plates of bread. I carefully painted and arranged each piece, making sure the layout felt natural and inviting. The modern cafe's interior was sleeker, with metal-framed chairs, glass-topped tables, and stylish hanging lights. I added small books, magazines, and a display case filled with miniature desserts. Lighting brought the cafes to life. Each kit included tiny LED bulbs and thin wires, which I installed inside the ceilings. Once connected to their small battery packs, the warm glow illuminated the interiors, casting soft shadows through the windows. I turned off the room lights for a moment, and the scene looked magical: two glowing cafe houses, side by side, ready to welcome imaginary customers. Finally, I added the exterior decorations. For the rustic cafe, I glued a small wooden sign above the door and placed a flower box under the front window, filling it with tiny artificial blossoms. The modern cafe got a sleek signboard and a small potted plant by the entrance. I even added a tiny chalkboard menu, just like real cafes have outside to attract passers-by. When both houses were finished, I placed them together on a shared wooden base I had prepared earlier. The contrast between the two styles made the scene even more interesting. One was charmingly old-fashioned, the other stylish and contemporary. Yet, they complemented each other perfectly, like two friends with different personalities but the same love for coffee. Sitting back, I admired my work. The process had taken hours of careful gluing, painting, and arranging, but the result was worth every minute. These miniature cafes weren't just models, they were stories captured in wood, paper, and light. I imagined a tiny world where people gathered inside for warmth, conversation, and the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee. The joy of handcrafting these models went beyond the final product. It was about the journey, planning, problem-solving, and patiently bringing something to life with my own hands. There was a quiet satisfaction in seeing the transformation from a pile of loose parts to two beautifully crafted miniature houses. Every tiny chair, every painted wall, every glowing lamp told a story of care and creativity. As I looked at them one last time before placing them in my display cabinet, I realized something important. Building these cafe houses had been more than just a hobby project. It had been a reminder of how rewarding it is to slow down, focus, and create something meaningful. In a world where everything moves so fast, taking the time to craft something by hand felt like a small but significant act of beauty. Now, whenever I pass by the display, the two cafes remind me of a cozy afternoon spent in quiet concentration, surrounded by the soft scent of glue and wood. They stand as proof that even in miniature form, a little imagination and patience can create something truly beautiful.